Hi friends, I need to talk to you about something.
Say mental health is kind of the well-being of everything outside of the physical body.
I think it's something abstract that needs more development, and it needs to be talked about more, as it is abstract and you don't see it.
To me, it's usually the ability or inability to love yourself and others around you.
When someone says that, I think someone's struggling with depression and anxiety.
I always think about people's emotional and, psychological well-being.
Mental health impacts everybody in a slightly different way.
Honestly, sometimes when I think about it, it's a very compassionate sort of understanding thing because I've struggled with it and I grapple with it, but there are other times where I think of bedlam, like an insane asylum sort of thing.
I have two different conversations in my head pretty much instantly as soon as mental health comes up. There's the old school side of me, which is run away and avoid it, and we don't need to talk about that. And then there's the newer version, sort of the 30s version of Kevin, pops in and sort of overtakes that voice and just says, no, this is an important conversation to have.
A lot of times men are expected to be sort of like a bastion of strength.
You can't display any signs of weakness.
Because men are always supposed to be the strong ones.
Society's put a lot of weight and pressure on us to be, powerful and awesome and, and make lots of money and look good.
Expected to be strong, they don't cry, they don't show their emotions, or they're not supposed to show their emotions.
Stereotypical male narrative is like money, meat, alcohol, girls.
We talk about everything else in life, but we don't really talk about how we feel.
Men's mental health is kind of neglected.
So anxious and nervous going into work every day that I was ill multiple times in the morning before I even left the house.
I just drove straight to my parents' house, and it must have been 1 or 2 in the morning, and I knocked on their door and they came to the door, and I just collapsed right in the front hallway of their house.
And I just unloaded, I lost it. I started crying like hysterically, lost control. And I started having a panic attack in his office, total anxiety breakdown.
I started to think like, do I have a mental health problem?
I've had a really good support network.
Just going to a counselor and talking about it, changed everything for me.
For me, just full disclosure, it was medication.
I found a solution by paying attention to my diet and what goes into my body.
When I think of my own mental health problems, I actually will go back to that and think like, this has grown, it helped me grow as a person. Like I've taken something out of this. It's not just bad stuff, right? So
Went through yoga training and started changing my diet to see how it affected me.
And there's no recipe that works universally for everyone.
Maybe it's not for everyone, but just being mindful through yoga or spending some time in nature, just actively seeking those experiences out.
I hadn't felt that clear and just like confident and happy like for years, since I was young.
That I am in a better place than I was 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm so grateful for everything that's happened in between and how I've changed my trajectory.
it's like you have a broken leg right now, and there's a bunch of different steps we're going to take, but sooner or later it's going to get fixed. Like, this doesn't have to be you for the rest of your life.
You can be a man, but you don't have to be a capital M man.
And once you do, like, life is like so colorful and it's so different from what you previously knew it as.
I'm going to stop living in fear, I'm going to stop letting my anxieties rule me, and I'm going to just try something that scares me. It's like I was reborn. Like, now I want to do everything all the time.
It allowed me to take that step back, and that person really forced me to look into some of the places that I had been ignoring.
Voice your emotions and share it, so the burden that you might think you have on your shoulders is taken away.
Talk about it. It's awkward. It's weird. But ultimately, what are we? We're social beings that need that relationship.
You can talk to people about the way you feel, because I think that behind every depressed man is a scared preteen boy.
Instead of saying I can't do that or I can't talk about that, look at it as how can I do the things I want to do, or how can I talk about the things that I need to talk about.
I hate the thought of another man sitting there, another person in general sitting there at the computer screen trying to figure out what's wrong with them when nothing's wrong with you. You're sick for a bit, right? And reach out and get some help with it.
So just knowing that you're not alone, that every single person, from the Prime Minister of Canada to the person that was in line behind you getting coffee, they all go through ups and downs.
My personal story with mental health started about a year ago when I had a whole bunch of life changes that happened over a short period of time, and that led me into what turned out to be a very severe depression. It was tough. It was tough for me. It was hard for me to process and understand what was happening. I hid that away. I was ashamed. I didn't want to ask for help, because then that would verify that there's something wrong with me, and I didn't want to feel like there was something wrong. About 6 months later, when I was out skiing, I actually crashed into a tree and broke my arm. And it sounds a bit ridiculous, but breaking my arm allowed me to heal my mind. And reflecting on the difference between the process of recovering from a broken arm and recovering from depression, it really made me want to try and open up and break down this stigma. And hopefully other men aren't going to do what I did, which is be ashamed and resist the need to reach out for help. Hopefully there's someone out there that will watch this and feel that they have enough courage to go and ask for help.
The first thing to do is to talk about it. Talk to someone that you're close to, a friend, a loved one. Holding it back isn't going to be helpful. If you're in crisis line. If it's an emergency, no different than with any healthcare concern. Certainly you can go to the hospital to get immediate help. Go to your family physician. They can talk to you about what's going on and help you to get, whether it's medication or access to therapy. That's a great place to start. There are a number of online resources that you can look up. If you go to our CMHA Kelowna website, that'll link you to a number of different pieces of information, as well as local groups to help. If you've got a friend or a loved one who's struggling, the first thing to do that I would encourage is just to listen to them. But listen to them without judgment. Just try to lend an ear so that they have an opportunity to speak to what's happening for them, because that's going to be safe and that's going to be a first step in getting some help. You encourage them to access help, but the main thing is to listen, and to listen without judgment. We have to encourage people to talk about this more.